Hey guys, Edward here from Edward79, the Mixed Content Creator. Now, Europe is by no means a big continent, and being the second smallest of Earth's continents behind Australia, Europe is by far the continent most densely packed with countries for its size. But even amongst the teeny tiny countries like Monaco, Andorra, Liechtenstein, and the Vatican, there are giants that, while tiny on a global scale, are absolutely massive when you zoom down to the European scale. So without further ado, here are the 10 largest countries on the European continent. A country of rich culture, delicious food, and fine wine, Italy happens to be the 5th most visited country in the world, and is incredibly popular with tourists from all over Europe and the US. And rightfully so, as tourism in Italy employs more than 2 million Italians, and makes the country millions of euros annually, with tourism accounting for roughly 13% of the country's GDP. Weirdly enough, Italy also has not one, but 2 microstates inside of it, San Marino and the Vatican. And here's something you probably didn't know. Christopher Columbus, yes, that same dude famous for discovering the Americas, was actually Italian, having been born in the city of Genoa in what's now Italy. Fun facts aside, even though the microstates inside Italy are tiny, the country itself is comparatively huge, with the country having a total area of 301,318 square kilometers. A country frequently regarded as Europe's giant punching bag, Poland, despite its size, was invaded in both world wars, successfully no less. But invasions aside, vodka, even though most notably drank in Russia, is actually not of Russian origin, but instead was actually invented in Poland. Poland isn't as dependent on tourism as most other European countries, even though it holds some pretty impressive feats to this day, like having the world's biggest castle and being home to many of Europe's largest animals, most notably the European bison, a species once on the brink of extinction that's now making a comeback, just like its American counterpart. And wouldn't you know it, the country with the most of them is Poland. Poland is a little bit bigger than Italy, with the country's total area being 312,685 square kilometers. Well known for holding the record of being the happiest country in the world for 6 years straight, Finland has a lot of reasons behind its happiness. Finland has an excellent education system, universal, not free however, healthcare, and several other services that all contribute to how happy the country is. And as if that wasn't enough, the capital of Finland, Helsinki, actually has the cleanest air of anywhere in the world, and Finland also holds other impressive feats. For example, Finns drink the most coffee of anywhere on Earth. The country has 2 million saunas, and yes, Finland has been the happiest country on Earth for 6 years straight. And considering the excellent services, the high levels of trust between Finns and the locals' appreciation of the simple things in life, it's not a huge surprise. Finland is the 8th biggest country in Europe, with Finland's total area being 338,145 square kilometers. Well known for its, less than peaceful past in both world wars, Germany today is nowhere near as violent as its past predecessors, Nazi Germany and the German Empire. German culture incorporates beer a lot, from the Oktoberfest to having the world's oldest brewery, and even having a secret beer code to order the drink. Germany, however, is not the country that drinks the most beer. That honor can go either to China, which has the highest overall beer consumption, or the Czech Republic, which has the highest per capita consumption. German is also the 5th most taught foreign language in the world, being beaten by Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, French, and English, and is spoken in not just Germany, but also Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Luxembourg. Germany is one of the biggest countries in the European continent, with Germany having a total land area of 357,386 square kilometers. As one of the richest countries in the entire world, Norway has successfully managed to avoid the problems that usually plague countries with a lot of oil, most notably Venezuela. Norway is in what's known as the Nordics, a group of countries in Northern Europe that includes Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, one of which will appear further down this list. Norway is also incredibly safe to visit and live in, although I should warn you that you may find Norwegians rather cold if you come from a more gregarious culture, as the Nordics in general tend to be reserved and keep to themselves. And just like all of the Nordics, the country made the list of the top 10 happiest countries in the world yet again, with Norway ranking 7th in 2023. Norway is also rather big, with Norway having a total land area of 385,178 square kilometers. Traveling not very far at all, next up on this list is Sweden. The land border between Sweden and Norway is the longest in Europe, with the Norway-Sweden border having a total length of 1,620 kilometers. And if you wanted to know something really weird, Sweden actually imports garbage. That's right, because Swedish people generate very little garbage, there's no longer very much waste for Sweden to incinerate for energy. So as a solution, Sweden actually imports garbage from Norway and the UK to fuel the country's incinerators, which are used as the primary source of energy instead of oil and other fossil fuels. 49% of Sweden's waste ends up being incinerated, with 50% being recycled or composted, and the remaining only 1% of Sweden's garbage ending up in a landfill. Oh, and 57% of Sweden is still forested. So if a clean environment is what you're looking for, Sweden is the perfect place to find it. Sweden holds the title as the 5th largest country in Europe, with the country's total land area being 447,425 square kilometers. Claiming the title as the 4th largest country in Europe and 2nd most visited country in the world, we'll get to the most visited country in a second, is Spain. Spain's national anthem is the Marcha Real, which translates to Royal March, but that's not what's weird about it. What's weird is that the Spanish national anthem has no words. Yup, Spain is one of only 4 countries in the world whose national anthems have no words, with the others being Kosovo, San Marino, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Spain is also the world's largest producer of olive oil, producing just about twice as much as the next biggest producer, Italy. And as far as bullfighting, it is legal in most of Spain, except in the provinces of Catalonia and the Canary Islands. Other countries have also outlawed the practice, but I'm not going to get too deep in that. Like I said, Spain is huge, with the country's total land area being 498,511 square kilometers. The most visited country in the world and 3rd largest in Europe, France has a lot to offer, from the Eiffel Tower to the Louvre, as well as food and fine wine. Given all of this, it comes as no surprise France is the single most visited country in the world, and a popular destination for tourists from all over the world. There's a lot of food-related quirks in this country, including the fact that French supermarkets aren't actually allowed to throw away food too close to the best-by date and instead donate it to charity or food banks, or that France produces over 1,500 types of cheese, or that the French eat over 25,000 tons of escargot, that's snails by the way, annually. But going back to size, France is the largest country in the European Union and 3rd largest in Europe, with France having a total area of 551,695 square kilometers. Now, despite the recent Russian annexation of the regions of Crimea and Donbass, these regions are still legally Ukrainian, so I will still count Crimea and the Donbass region as part of Ukraine. But war business aside, Ukraine has a surprising lot of culture under its belt. You know Chernobyl, right? Well, that nuclear disaster occurred in Ukraine, and you can actually visit that site, although you will need a permit. But nuclear waste aside, this country is also called the breadbasket of Europe, and rightfully so, as Ukraine is not only one of the largest exporters of wheat, barley, and corn, but is also the biggest producer of sunflower seeds and sunflower oil. Not surprising considering the sunflower is Ukraine's national flower. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe, with a total area of 603,628 square kilometers. Finally, we come to the Russian Federation, the biggest country in Europe and the world. Not too surprisingly, Russia is a transcontinental country, with Russia spanning both Europe and Asia. 40% of Europe's area is occupied by the European portion of Russia, which, mind you, also contains 75% of Russia's population, and largely due to the fact that the Asian part of Russia, what we'd call Siberia, is basically an unlivable frozen hellhole for most of the year. Two of the biggest cities in Russia, the capital Moscow as well as St. Petersburg, are located in European Russia, as is 9 other cities out of 13 in Russia that have over 1 million residents. And speaking of Moscow, I bet you didn't know that Moscow has the most billionaires per capita of any city. And as you may already know, Russia is huge. The European portion alone has an area of 3,969,100 square kilometers, let alone the entire country's gigantic area of 17,071,242 square kilometers, making Russia not only the biggest country in Europe, but also the biggest country in the world. So there you have it, the 10 largest countries in Europe explained. We hope you enjoyed this video. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!